Hello, everyone. Welcome to Lunch for the Soul. I am Melissa Wilson in the Fox 26 newsroom. So, just a reminder for you, this is a working newsroom behind me. You never know what's going to happen. We're hoping for a slow news day so that you don't hear a whole lot. Do I ever have a special guest for you today? You are going to love her. She has a remarkable testimony about how important it is for us to all pause, listen to our own bodies, and if something seems off, do something about it. And then make important lifestyle changes to make sure that you can lead a long and healthy life. So, without further ado, let's bring in this lovely guest, Lakeisha Brown. Lakeisha, welcome to Lunch for the Soul.
Hi, Melissa. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you. Thank you.
I'm so happy you are here. You have a really important message for everybody. First of all, I want to tell everyone you're a very accomplished chef, and I would do anything for us to be able to taste test while we're talking today. You are known for soul food. Tell me about your business.
The name of my business is LA Brown's Baking and Catering. Um, I started in 2015, and then when I relocated to Houston, it geared up full force. That was about 2018. So I started off just baking, and now I'm baking and catering, and I enjoy it. I've always loved cooking and food, so it's a big part of my life.
Yeah, we see you right here. You look very comfortable in the kitchen. I feel like I could learn a whole lot from you. Well, unfortunately, you started suffering from some bizarre symptoms. Something wasn't right. What was going on?
This was January of 2018. It had been a couple of nights where it was just increasingly hard for me to lie down and go to sleep. And I didn't think anything of it initially because it wasn't painful. It was just like, it felt like something sitting on my chest. And after about the second or third day, I remember calling my supervisor at the time and telling her, hey, I'm going to go to urgent care, see what's going on. I'll be back by lunchtime. That was my thought process, not knowing the gravity of what was happening with me. I was told at the urgent care, well, they referred me to my first cardiologist, and the cardiologist that day told me that I was in heart failure and that I had the heart of a 90-year-old. Yeah.
My goodness, that's hard to hear. But they didn't do a lot about that, did they?
No, I was admitted to the hospital that day and I was essentially treated for water retention, which I didn't have. That wasn't one of the classic signs for
Mhm,
me anyway. It was
mhm.
the heaviness on the chest. I didn't have water retention. I was physically fit. I wasn't eating meat or really dairy at the time. I didn't smoke, really drink, but socially. And so I didn't fit the narrative of someone old and heart failure. Yeah.
Well, I want to make sure that everybody knows and understands right now that we are live. So if you have any comments, you're welcome to reach out to Lakeisha. If you have any questions, maybe you've been through something like this before. Maybe you just want to give her a shout out and say, you go, girl, and you keep fighting. We would love to hear from you. So just wanted to throw that out there. Now, it got so bad that it was difficult for you to even sleep, wasn't it? Because lying down would put even more pressure on your chest.
Yes. And at first, like I said, the first couple of days, I really attributed it to stress or maybe even anxiety or both,
Mhm.
because it was only at night. I didn't have it during the day. And so I didn't think much of it. But by the second or third day, like I said, I was like, wait, this is becoming a pattern. Something's not right.
Mhm. And then that's when you found out was the third doctor the charm, do you feel like?
Actually, it was the fourth.
The fourth doctor,
The
okay.
fourth doctor, yes, and, it was then that I understood, because I did not know this previously, that there's a difference between, someone who's a cardiologist and someone who's a heart failure cardiologist.
Mhm.
That is the significant difference. So, the cardiologist that I am with now is a heart failure cardiologist and was able to, have a plan of action and, say, "This is what we're gonna do moving forward," and
Yeah.
told me the gravity of my situation.
And then what you ended up undergoing is this heart pump. So what happened and how did that come about?
So, I was admitted into the hospital again in December 2021,
Mhm.
and I was told about this Abbott HeartMate 3. Okay, and prior to December 2021, remember I was diagnosed in January 2018. I'd never heard of an LVAD. I didn't know what it was, but because my organs were starting to shut down at that point, it was critically needed. So, yeah.
And then you actually carry almost like a backpack around for your pump?
Yes, I do. It's right here. It's always with me.
It's your best friend. It's your lifesaver, right?
Yes, I call it my heart in my bag.
Oh, I love that.
Yeah, it is.
And then Abbott was so nice, the company that made your heart pump, to be able to share some video of you with us, to share those photos, those graphics I just showed to show how it works. What does that feel like now? Did it take all your symptoms away? What is it like to have a heart pump?
After having surgery and kind of recuperating and whatnot, walking around the hospital, I could feel the difference. It wasn't a struggle for me to take a breath. I could walk from one end of the room to the other. That's something that I could not do previously. For someone that was in the gym 3 to 4 times a week, that was very difficult for me. And after getting the HeartMate, I was able to walk from one end of the room to the other without stopping. That was an accomplishment for me to even be able to do that.
I mean, talk about quality of life. That is a
Yes,
huge
absolutely.
difference. That is a really big difference. Okay, so we have here Mike Henry says, Happy Hump Day. He's real serious here. Happy Hump Day to you. We're glad that you're out there watching us right now. So let's talk more about what you did with your business then. You realized in your own life that it was important to make lifestyle changes. And I think we hear that. You almost panic thinking it's the dreaded words, right? Healthier eating, more exercise, but you decided not only to do that for yourself, but for others in your business. So you tweak the menu a little bit. What'd you do?
So I wanted people to be aware that there are heart healthy options on my catering menu, and it's really about making even the subtle changes. I think, as you said, people sometimes get a little freaked out about that, like, oh Lord, I don't want to have to just eat lettuce and drink water all day. That's not the case at all. For me, and even in my business with some of the dishes that I'm incorporating in my heart healthy menu, it's just a matter of cutting back on a lot of the sodium, because as you know, there's salt in everything. So cutting back on those things, using more fresh ingredients as well.
Yeah, I just saw you shopping for some herbs there. So you learned how to make more flavor than with salt, right? And it's very possible.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It is. Yes.
All right. So let's talk about then what that looks like. Does it actually say on your menus that they're heart healthy, or how do you do that so that people know that that's an
Yes,
option?
I've actually indicated on the site, on the menu, it'll have an HH next to it to let people know that it is a heart healthy option.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Well, it is a wonderful thing to do. You have a lot to live for, don't you? You
Yes.
have 5 daughters, you have a husband that we got to see you walking around town with. How
Yeah.
much does your family mean to you, and how did they help you through all that you've been through with your health challenges?
You know, when you hear the saying, it takes a village, it truly, truly does, Melissa. My husband, my children, they were my driving force. They were the ones in the dark times in the hospital when I was, not doing so well, or I had an episode, or whatever the case was. They're the ones that kept me going, to know that I wanted to be back home, wanted to be back with them, wanted to see my children graduate. My youngest graduated from high school, and I had 2 daughters graduate from college. And all of those things were important. And of course, having more time with my husband as well, and family and friends. All of those things are important to me. So they
Well,
kept
I think it's really important for us to focus on those things, right, when we're going through a hard time,
Yes.
so that we have a focus to keep on going and not think about the hard things we're going through. We see you working out here. Abbott was able to capture you even in the gym.
Yes.
So was this your lifestyle before, or did this all come after your diagnosis?
No, I've been active in the gym, I'd say since maybe 2008. And a lot of my mom's siblings had passed away at early ages. And I remember thinking, when my aunt at the time had passed away, my Aunt Amy, I knew that I did not, sorry.
It's okay. I'm sorry. I know it's tough to talk about.
I knew I didn't want to die young. And this was in 2008. I had no idea. I had no idea that 10 years later, 10 plus years later that this is where I would be. So yeah, that's why I really started going to the gym. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I know it's tough to talk about, and I'm sorry to even just stay on the topic, but I think it's really important to talk about family history. So it was heart problems with your loved ones?
It was actually my maternal grandmother, my mom's mom, that had heart failure. And um, I was already genetically predisposed because again, I couldn't understand. I was like, why is this happening? I'm fit, I eat right, I do these things and whatever. And they did a test, the testing in the hospital, and told me that I was already genetically predisposed. So there was really nothing I could do, I guess, at that point. But because of that, I have in turn made sure that my daughters got checked out at the
Mm-hmm.
at the doctors as well, because I didn't know this was something you could pass down.
Mm-hmm.
No clue. So it was important and imperative to me that they go and get themselves. And everybody's okay, but it's just yeah. If I
Yeah.
had known then,
Yeah, because you're so young, you just had to wonder where it came from, and it's so
yeah.
good that your daughters are staying on top of that and learning, and hopefully will for years to come. Well, now it comes the next chapter in your life, because that heart pump can only last for so long. While it's doing its job now, it can't, unfortunately, forever. So you got on the heart transplant list. That's hard to make that happen, isn't it? I mean, you have to pass so many different tests to get there. How do you deal with that of being relieved, but then being stressed that that is your next step?
Um, it is a bit stressful because even, most people don't like change. They don't care for change. And with me, I've had the LVAD HeartMate for 2 years now. So I've kind of gotten into routine. I'm back at the gym. I'm catering again. I'm driving and doing things and whatnot for myself. So while it is, that was always, I think, the end goal was to get the heart transplant. Now that I've completed the evaluations and testing and all that, um, yeah, is it because it's change. And with that change, it comes a whole nother set of problems and medications and all these other things. So yeah, it's a bit nerving. Yeah.
I think the other tough thing about being on any type of transplant list is the emotions that go with that, of waiting every second for your phone to ring, because that means it's time and it's go, and there's no looking back. But at the same time, the emotions of knowing what that means, that somebody just lost their life, but
Yes.
they're going to save yours. I mean, it doesn't get any more emotional than that, does it?
It really, really is. One of the things I try to keep in my mind is that my mental is just as important as my physical. So I want to make sure I take care of myself and I eat healthy, but to also remember that my mental is just as important as the physical. And in that, talking about what you just said, that yeah, it is. It can sometimes not really be overwhelming, but it is a lot when you think about that someone had to lose their life, someone had to bury their family member in order for me to be able to live. That is a lot.
But at the same time, it's such an important thing for us to be talking about, for people to realize, if they look at you, this
Yeah.
beautiful soul who has so much to live for, and can do so much for our community, and by being a donor, give you a second chance of life. And I
Yes.
think a lot of people are scared to go to the DMV, or to go online and check that yes box that I want to be an organ donor. But when you truly think about how many lives you can save, it is a remarkable one. How does your faith come into play with all of this on the hard days? Because obviously there's up and downs.
Okay, I have my tissue here because I knew you were going to ask me that.
We're ready for you. I probably had to get mine out too.
It was some hard days, some very hard days, and hard nights. And I was angry. I was so angry a lot of the times because I felt like everyone in my life had left me. And I knew it wasn't true, but that's what it felt like. And I remember it's my mother-in-law, Miss Betty, who sent me this poem, the Footprints in the Sand poem, that reminded me that God never left me. And in the moments that I felt alone, that he was actually carrying me, and that I was never alone, and that he never left me. And that has kept me all this time. It has.
He was carrying you that entire time.
Yes, absolutely.
And
Yeah.
what a beautiful message to share to others when they feel like they're alone. I don't think there's anybody in this world who can say they didn't feel like that at some point. But if you
Yeah.
could look back on it so many times, you
Yes.
can see, how do you go through the day without saying, why me? And just working through this and dealing with it?
Part of that is that I think one of the reasons why this happened to me is that people needed to hear my story, to propel them to go to the doctor, to tell their loved one, "Hey, you haven't been feeling well. You need to go get checked out." Um, or again, I want people to understand that I don't necessarily fit the look of what heart disease looks like. You know, I was diagnosed almost 6 years ago. I was 40 years old. You know, so that it was just crazy to me. I thought this was an old people disease, to be honest. And so I want people to really understand that you can look like me, you could be younger than me. I've met people in heart failure that are younger than I am.
Mhm.
So to just be cognizant of your body and pay attention.
And I obviously, as a medical reporter, had the utmost respect for our cardiologists, for our doctors in Houston. We have some of the best in the entire world. But that being said, do you feel like it's difficult sometimes for a young woman, especially like yourself, who looks so healthy, to get the right diagnosis, that maybe
That yeah,
that's just not looked at quite closely enough?
absolutely. I think that was a major issue, a major hurdle for me was that I didn't again fit the narrative or fit the profile, and that I was relatively healthy. Um, and with the cardiologist that I'd seen prior to getting with my heart failure specialist, Dr. Civitello, Andrew Civitello, thank you. Prior to getting with Dr. Civitello, um, I was just basically again treated for water retention, and I was seeing them like every 6 months. So in my mind, I thought, well, it's serious, but it's not that serious because there's no real plan of action or anything like that. So I must be okay, I guess. Not realizing that I was progressively getting worse.
Mhm.
Yeah.
But look at you today, and you've come so far. Is
Yes.
there any indicator at all of when you will get that phone call and that it is time for your heart transplant, or is it just day by day? You have no idea.
It's really day by day. I don't have any idea. But I know they're trying to make sure that um, the heart that they give me or get for me
Mhm,
is pretty much a an exact match, and
mhm.
that's sometimes hard and takes a little time.
Does
So
that change your lifestyle a little bit right now to be ready at any given time? Because obviously you wouldn't be able to work for a while. You're going to have recovery time. How do you make plans not knowing?
Well, if I go out of town or something like that, I'm never going to go outside of a 2 to 3 hour radius. As far as like,
Mhm,
I couldn't get on the plane and be back here in 3 hours. I'm not
mhm.
going to travel too far out of the country or even out of the country. Yes, my bag is always packed. I have a backpack and ready to go. It's been packed over a year. And then
I
when I got the
got it.
call letting me know that I was on the list, I was like, okay, let's put it out the door in the garage.
Mhm.
And so it hasn't changed too much. I think too, what I keep in my mind is that I was in the hospital almost 2 months, and I'm hoping that once this transplant happens, that I'll be in the hospital a couple of weeks, and a little recovery, and then I'll be back at it again. That's what I keep in my mind. So
Well,
I'm
Lakeisha, you have an incredible testimony, and we just wish nothing but the best for you. You
thank
keep us
you.
up to date.
I
I
will.
want to see you when you are running around without your LVAD bag because you have your new heart. God
I
bless you
will.
through all of this.
Thank
And thank
you.
you for sharing this so much with us and for being so
Thank you,
vulnerable.
Melissa. I appreciate you. Thank you so much.
All right, take care of you.
Thank you. Okay.
And I just want to remind you all, maybe you hopped on late. You can always watch all of my Lunch for the Souls if you head on over to our YouTube page. You can also find us on our website, fox26houston.com. Every Wednesday at 12:30 is the place to be. Hope to see you back here next week. Have a beautiful day.